the Albanese government has been accused of political point scoring as they try to tackle this cost of living crisis. You know, they're using methods that either, you know, are deceptive, like reneging on the tax cuts, or they just sort of haven't really worked. Do you think anything the federal government have done has any teeth with helping ordinary Australians through this?
I don't think the federal government is at all interested in helping ordinary Australians, and you can see that in the way they managed or mismanaged the stage 3 tax cuts in the course of 7 days, completely changing their tune on those cuts. And in the manner that Albanese himself explained it, suggesting that there was an ERC and Treasury advice that had changed overnight, when we all know the reality is this is all about the by-election, it's all about politics, and it's all about polling. Albanese is looking at who are the demographic that are voting for him. He's completely focused on this by-election. He's entirely focused on politics. It's not about helping ordinary Australians. It's about his own polling. And for him, he's made a strategic political decision to not proceed with those tax cuts. He'd rather be branded a liar than a loser, ultimately, because this is a political decision. It is about political point scoring. And he will be expected and most likely win this by-election because of the decisions that he's making. Ultimately, is there relief for ordinary Australians? No, there isn't. We know that there are still issues with the cash rate in Australia. Although there may be some relief in the coming months, inflation is still up. People are still paying enormous amounts of mortgage rates for their house, for their homes, and people are still doing it tough, as we know, with the prices of produce and retail prices. Where is the relief coming from, Albanese? Well, it isn't. Ultimately, he's making decisions on the run based entirely on polling on that day. It's a hell of a decision to change and to renege on a promise that you made during an election period literally overnight. But he did do it, and he's getting away with it because the media will slowly turn away and not bother about this issue, and we don't know what the other parties will do. What will the coalition do? They may ultimately just agree with the tax cuts, and that there lies the problem. Will the public ultimately remember what he's done? I hope they do. They need to remember that any promise made by Albanese and the Labor government isn't worth the paper it's on.
I think that's very well said, Tania. I mean, and the thing about the cash rate also is that, as you mentioned, there looks like there might be some relief in the coming months. The banks are predicting that the RBA will lower the cash rate, but as we both know, that doesn't mean that the banks are actually going to pass on the lowered cash rate to mortgage holders. They can just either hold the interest rates the same or lower them only slightly. I mean, there's nothing stopping them from doing that, and they've done it in the past. So this piddly decision by Albo just it makes my blood boil, honestly. Really, it does.